Hey guys, uh, coming to you now, a few days after I published a recent announcement video, just kind of explaining why I hadn't been putting out those daily videos like I've been doing for a good many years now. And I'm not going to re-explain all that. Life has just gotten very tough and busy and just kind of draining a little bit. But you know what we do? We keep on going, and it was such a blessing to read you guys as you responded to that video. I was overwhelmed, and I'm grateful. It's one of those things. I was just I was just impacted so much. I haven't even gotten on there to reply to you guys. So consider this a little bit of a reply. Just a lot of gratitude. Guys who used to comment a lot, but shaving is a daily thing you do every day, and so with every shave, you're not going to have something to say always. And so it was great to see those guys jumping back in and just sending me good the blessing and encouragement, and it was really terrific. I value that. It's kind of it's hard to put it into words. I really appreciate it. And tonight, I haven't shaved in a while. I did go and take a pair of clippers, electric clippers, to my growth so that it's a normal-ish growth today, instead of trying to shave off 2 or 3 weeks of growth, which is what it really is. But seriously, I thank you guys so much. It's been so enjoyable interacting with you guys, and we're definitely going to keep that going. I wanted to jump in with a Lather Games shave, but I think today was on either creams or something with menthol, some kind of cooling agent. And what I wanted to use today was this sample that got sent to me. And I'm pretty sure it's North South Hamster. It's really funny. Now I'm on the spot and I can't remember which one it is. I think it's North Sound Hamster. He's over on Reddit. He may also be watching on YouTube and have an identity there as well. But I don't remember if I've ever connected the two dots. Wanted to use his soap. Eigengrau from Barrister and Mann is a sample that he sent me. He sent me a smush. We'll get into that in a minute. Also, one of you guys, Impressive Donut, he was telling me about the Derby Usta blades, and I have never used one. And so he, out of the kindness of his heart, sent me a few to try out. So let's see how it does today. Since I do have what probably is equivalent of a few days growth at this point, since the clippers did do a good job. Since I do have that much, I'm going to go with this Timeless that has a little bit more blade feel because it's the 7-something gap. It's the bronze base plate here. It's open comb, and that's how you know it's the higher gap of the two. I think it's a 38 gap. That is the solid bar Timeless bronze. The coloring, as you can see, is different. This is a titanium handle, and everything fits together, which is cool that you can interchange the parts no matter what material you're talking about. The bronze base plate here has the open comb, and it's the 7.5, 7.8, I can't remember the exact. It'll be in the description of the video if you're curious about that. I have soaked my B13. It's a Dogwood handle here, and also Briar, maybe Briar Brushworks or something like that. They did the wood, and it's gorgeous. It's got the B13 knot, and that's been soaking for a little while. And let's go ahead and load up the blade while my fingers are still dry. If you do have a multi-metal razor, I've read about, I think it's called galling. I've read about this binding tendency of dissimilar metals kind of locking up if they're stored for an extremely long period of time. and just be cautious. And that's probably the reason why I keep this little washer on there. Where'd the Usta go? Let's find him. Now the Usta blades are kind of odd because the wrapper here doesn't say Usta on the outside. The blade does say Usta on the inside though. It says it's a different language. Onyalandi, approved by. And then the banner across the middle there says Asmusibat. I don't know what any of that means. But then as we carefully take the blade out, we can see that it says Derby Usta in there. And I have heard a few people comment about the Usta. Blades are super subjective, as we know, and so just because somebody likes it doesn't mean you will. Unless you've discovered that you have a very similar face and lathering style and razor setup as another person. The more things are the same, the more likely you might have similar blade preferences. But in general, it's a crapshoot. So why not try the cheap blades too? Like the derbies, the regular derbies. Because if it happens to work with your face and your whole variable situation, then all the better to have cheap blades. So we're loaded up there. Splash my face with some water. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to take my 1/4 teaspoon scoop here. And when somebody sends you a smush, there's a couple different ways to do it. If somebody sends you a sample, then, especially if you order one from a place like Maggard Razors, then it's likely to come in a sample container kind of like this. If you order a sample from Sterling, you get a lot more product. It comes in a big old slice like that. And you can definitely buy samples like this from individual sellers on the used market. If somebody has a bunch of stuff for sale and they say, I've got some samples too, odds are it's a bunch of these and these types of things, and it'll have a scoop or two out of it because you can't load it in the sample container. Obviously, it's much too small. So you just use a scoop, kind of like this. And then they've just tried it. Maybe it's not for them, so they want to pass that sample along to somebody else. That's great. But what if you only have a small amount of soap? What if the person, you just want to send something out quick? What if it's just a friend that you want to send a sample to and enough for maybe one shave, maybe two? Well, these little containers that I was showing you, we could probably might be able to get a dozen shaves out of that. Other guys maybe just can get about 5 shaves out of it, but my usage is very different. Well, what we can do here is through the regular snail mail, you can send a sample. Now, I've seen samples, smooshes, and that's what we use. When we say the word smoosh, we're talking about a small amount, maybe just enough for one shave, maybe a little bit more, smooshed, flattened, so it'll go through the postal service. After all, look here. He took a normal sheet of paper, typing paper kind of thing, and wrapped up the sample. Now, he put it into a coffee filter. But he was going to protect it through the system there as it goes through machines with a couple of layers of paper, and that was probably wise. I've seen people include Ziploc bags. Those will travel as well into the normal envelopes, which is nice because for the price of a stamp, you can send somebody a sample. If you send somebody something like this, it's going to cost you a little bit more, and it's not as easy, right? You have to print up a label if you do it at home, or you have to take the whole thing to the post office and have them print a label, whereas slap it on a stamp and send it off is a lot easier. Now, usually, people don't use a porous paper like I think a coffee filter. Yeah, it is. Of course, it's porous. Because what can happen with this kind of filter is the oils can absorb into the paper, and so then they're not going to come across to you. I've seen wax paper used a lot. And so wax paper might be a little bit better in general. But I also don't want to look gift horse in the mouth because I'm definitely getting a scent from here. And that's mainly what I wanted from this because Eigengrau, gorgeous artwork on the cover of the soap from Barrister and Mann. Description of it seemed really nice except for just a few little notes. And that caused me not to pull the trigger on it. But we were discussing it online. And out of the blue, North Sound Hamster, I believe, said, "Hey, I'll send you a smoosh." So now here I'm gonna take and kind of rake up off the paper here the soap. This is how you handle smooshes. And you just scrape. I like the smell. It's all right, I think I extracted about as much as I could, and we'll see how much we don't have a lot of soap, maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. That may just be enough for 2 passes, but I tell you what it is plenty of is for me to get an idea of the scent. It is jumping out to me right away. It's an outdoor type scent, so that's a goal achieved, right? Because they're definitely marketing it in that way. I think I like that. So now I'm going to take my lather bowl and coat the bottom of it, thinly spread that around. All right, so there we go. Eigengrau. What a great name. All right, get my face wet now. We've got the blade loaded. I'm going to shake the water out of the brush. It's a dense knot, as with Declaration Grooming in general. Those knots are dense. I don't have a lot of soap in there, and so I want to make sure that I don't come at it with too much water. If you watch my channel very much, you'll know that I don't use nearly as much soap as a lot of guys out there. We've done some weighing experiments over the years, and often 0.4, 0.3, 0.5 grams of soap is what I will often use. Other guys can be triple or quadruple that. Often those are face latherers who overload their brush. They may like a pastier lather than I do. At least they don't mind it. And they have to do that because they're face lathering, and they kind of need to keep some lather on their brush for the third pass, or try to do that. Oh, something in my memory just got triggered. Some kind of commercial product. I will go ahead and use a little bit of water. In retrospect, a smaller brush might have been a better idea. Pretty sure this is a 28 millimeter. Smaller brush would have given the soap less places to hide. But you, as I've said for years, you don't need thick Santa's beard lather on your face to get a great shave. Your blade only knows about the thin micro layer right on top of your skin. Anything else just gets pushed away. Okay, I added that water and it's kind of staying a little bit wet, so I don't think I need to add any more. This is not really going to be an evaluation of performance, because we know that from Excelsior to modified soft heart to the new omnibus, glissant early on, the Barrister and Mann just has tremendous quality with their soaps. So we know that that is just fine. All right, so that's how much lather we have. Let's see what we can do here. Eigengrau is interesting because I really enjoyed the look of it, the artwork, the whole kind of thought behind it. And so it's one of those things where it's a cycle where I get interested in it, I feel a pull to try it, and then I get online, read the description, and then there's a bit in there that is like, yeah, that one might have something that you don't enjoy all that much. So let's just skip it. Let's take another whiff. You know, I probably would like this thing. It's outdoorsy in a really good way. You can definitely smell something like the fur coming through, but when that's too heavy, I don't like a soap like that. But it's not too heavy here. There are some other notes, like maybe a leather, like almost a sharper leather is my guess. I could be wrong. I didn't look at the scent notes before this video. Like some white musk or some type of musk that's there. Maybe tobacco, like a high green tobacco. I'm not really sure. Something like that. But those are the ideas we're talking about. Nothing sweet, you know? All right. Well, I do have a little bit of slickness on my face, but you can see there's really not much lather there. Let's just see what happens. I may have to, out of essence, lather up with another soap. Would not be fair to the Usta blade. Definitely getting some tugging here, but that's kind of to be expected with this much beard growth. I'm going to check and see if it's clogging up. Looks like this will be another case where I need to loosen up the head and shake it really well to really clear out underneath the blade there. Never a problem that I've dealt with in about 5 or 6, 7 years since I've enjoyed shaving so much, and I had a little bit easier life priority, so I could put shaving on the list on a regular basis. There we go. Wow, that was effective. That took down a lot of stubble. All right. I don't really think there's any product left here. I'm not going to rinse my face. I want to keep any soap that I might have. I like Eigengrau. And that's the whole goal of my friend North Sound Hamster, is to give me an idea of the scent. I like it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch gears now. There's a soap I've been wanting to evaluate. There are a couple of razors I'm going to bring to you in another shave. I didn't feel like they would be up to the task for today's shave with the growth that I had I went to a Middle Eastern market maybe yesterday, and they had these. This is a Gillette 7 o'clock plastic razor. It has a flip tab right there, and the pricing on it said rupees. And so I have a feeling that you international guys on the other end of the world from the United States are very familiar with this. It's very plastic, very light. It feels like it's holding together in a solid way. So it's made by Gillette. It says 7 o'clock right there. And so surely it's got to work, right? So we're looking forward to trying this guy out. And it was just for a few dollars at this Pakistani, Indian, Mediterranean, that kind of end of the world market, grocery store. And it came with a couple of Gillette blades. And there you go. So what a great way to, we don't get a lot of double-edged razors in places where you can walk up and grab them in America. We're having to order them through Amazon or Maggard Razors or West Coast Shaving or somewhere like that. Or, of course, AliExpress for the Baileys, or directly from other retailers that, Blackland, those types of guys, Charcoal Goods. Or, of course, you've got eBay for the different vintage options. So I'm looking forward to and very curious to see how that razor works. But the soap we're going to bring into today's shave is from the Dollar Tree. I've got kids about 10 or 11 years old right now, and so the Dollar Tree has been our lifeblood. A way to let the kids go and look around and pick out something for years now and have it be affordable. Not to mention a lot of useful stuff that we do get from there. I'm not holding out a lot of hope for this soap, though. It did have a really cheap brush that came with it. Not with it, but it was displayed next to it. And it looked like a really bad synthetic brush, would be my guess. I would not advise that one unless maybe you just had nothing else available. So Be Pure looks like the brand. Be-Pure. Says just shave soap. We got a cool guy with a big beard right here, so it's got to work, right? Helps you achieve a close shave and reduce razor bumps. It's a 2.65 ounce size, which is 75 grams. On the back, it does have some instructions. Use with a shaving brush and warm water. First, wet the brush. Swipe it back and forth over the surface of the soap to create a lather. Apply that to your face and shave in the direction of hair growth. To get a close shave, apply the lather to your skin again and shave gently against the direction of hair growth. That's really not bad. It is made in China. The distributor is 4-Star Group in Akron, Ohio. That instruction, it could be a lot worse. At least they're helping people to understand to do multiple passes. Now, years ago, I tried this soap from Prohibition Style, 5 butter, and it was a horrible performing soap. But I thought the tin was kind of nice. So I threw the soap away. It wasn't even good enough to give to somebody, I think. It was called Sidecar, was the scent. I did like the scent. And so here is the way the puck looks. You can see how it's been imprinted with the brand name there. It's a little tacky. It came in a plastic wrap, and then around that was a bag for the blister packing. And this is a part of that bag, and I kept it because it shows the ingredients. And some of these are kind of curious. In all the Sterling, Barrister and Mann, Declaration Grooming, all these other mammoth soaps, I've never seen sorbitol and sucrose be the first ingredients. I don't know what that's going to do. Maybe it's going to be a total dud. We'll see. Third, starts to look more familiar. Stearic acid, glycerin. That's good news. We know that glycerin often is a very good soap ingredient. Water, lauric acid, sodium lauryl sulfate, propylene glycol, sodium hydroxide, alcohol, that's interesting, sodium lauryl sulfate, fragrance, and then it lists things like PEG 400, aloe leaf juice, hey, not bad, yellow number 5, red number 33, blue number 1, some things like that. So they're kind of giving it a little color. You don't, some of those ingredients you just don't see in the kind of the shave soap industry. Now, if I work my brush in here, it's probably going to just flop around. So what I'm going to do is keep this separate. I'm going to just hold it in my palm here. Let's just see. We've done a first pass. The irritation, the tugging that I felt was very temporary. It only lasted while I was doing it. Right now my face feels great. Okay, so it's still got a little bit of water in it. It'll get too messy if I don't hold it down. Let's just see what happens here with sucrose and sorbitol. Sorbitol, the number 1 ingredient. And sucrose is sugar, right? Or some type of sugar. I'm not going to be afraid to load for quite a bit because, I mean, it is $1. Is somebody's trying to step up and into the gap that Williams mug soap is leaving behind? Don't know. Not really much scent to it. It did have some fragrance in it. Oh, look, we do have some suds there. A little bit of tiny bit of scent to it. Not a lot is kind of generating right away, but yeah, look, we do have some. Let's just stop there because we're not trying to make a lather right there. I am doing my own style with it where we do the lather in the bowl. I'm going to pause you while I try to kind of scrape some of these suds into the bowl too. Alright, so with that done, let's start working this up. I use so little water with the Eigengrau that I don't really need to store it in my database. That was a good bit of loading. That I did on this soap just now. It's definitely not coming together the same way kind of most of our normal shaving soaps come together. But it looks like it's going to give me a lather. I mean, I do like the fact if it does perform reasonably well. I like the idea of potentially having a hard soap that people could go and buy. Of course, each Dollar Tree chooses what they have in their store, and so this is the first one, and I've visited a lot of Dollar Trees. This is the first time I've seen it available. Oh, now it's starting to look kind of normal. I bought once a artisan soap from a company that was clearly good at making soap but not good at making shaving soap. It smelled great, but it didn't shave worth a darn. It just wouldn't lather up. They were probably so focused on the skin ingredients side of things that they just missed the boat on the shaving side of things. For the sake of time, I've got some packing I need to do. I've got a family reunion, and I'm going to go to that tomorrow. Get my face wet. We'll see what happens here. It's really hard with a brush that has these soft tips for a lather to suck. So it doesn't. Feels good. It would have to be among the worst soaps in the world to to not shine or not be enjoyable at this point. But I think a lot of guys who might try to experiment with this and they don't use, I don't know, they could go down an inferior soap, but used in a superior way, like I'm doing now with a bowl and with the knowledge I have for years of shaving. Then a person can then turn a mediocre soap into something that looks like it's going to do a decent job. But if you're a noob and you start off with something that is a little bit on the inferior side, then it could give a bad impression, and we don't want that. All right. Go. Oh, now that's a good feeling shave right there. The Usta. As always, holding the blade very lightly with minimal grip, minimal leverage, letting it glide over my skin. It's almost just kind of laying in my hand, resting when I'm doing these horizontal movements. Well, so far the Usta gets an A rating. We'll see how it works on the third pass. It's kind of a touchy blade that tends to get aggressive. That should become known to us. It should stand out in that way on the third pass because I've gotten such good efficiency here. I'm not going to have very much stubble for that third pass to work on. Well, the dollar store, the Dollar Tree soap, Be Pure, looks like a reasonable soap. Looks like it gets the job done. First impression is really pretty good, and it kind of looks easier to work up than Williams. That's kind of good. Williams was at about the dollar price point whenever I would find it in an old grocery store. Feel a little bit of the edge, and I believe I'm able to, oh hey, I nicked myself. Yeah, I got a bump back there. It's not a zit, it's just it's almost like where a mole was, but it never darkened up, you know, that kind of thing. I'll see my daughter tomorrow. She's going to be very happy that I will have shaved recently. Thanks again so much, guys, for your kind words and encouragement. Well, nick myself again. The Usta. Ha 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 ha. It is a very sharp blade. I don't think my skin has, changed in the weeks that I haven't shaved, the infrequency. I don't think that would have altered my skin, right? I wouldn't think so. To make it more susceptible to nicks, I don't think so. Now, I think that was the third. Yeah, that was the third pass. It was 2 Dollar Tree passes. The Barrister and Mann was the first pass. So I don't have any irritation. Also, the Dollar Tree soap here, the Be Pure, it didn't list a fragrance, so it looks like it's one fragrance type soap. This seems like a good buy. It's encouraging to see the glycerin in there because glycerin soaps can be good soaps. My skin doesn't feel drying out, anything like that. it is curious about the sorbitol and the sucrose. I have to find out what those are doing in the soap. I'm sure some of my friends will be able to tell me. My face does feel like I just finished shaving with a very sharp blade. I don't really feel any tenderness. I'm not getting any kind of stinging sensation. Got a nice close shave. I'm happy with the performance. This guy's starting to become a weeper now. He's slowing down. He'll be fine. What do I want to use for a post shave? What do I have nearby? Oh, hey, what I've got? I've got some Mountain Laurel from, does he go by London? What is he going by? Oh, Summer Break did the splash here for London Razors. And the London Razor soap is Mountain Laurel that I have as well, and I enjoy it quite a bit. Let's do the splash. So this is an alcohol splash. And I think that would go well with the Eigengrau probably. Got a little bit of sting going on. Not a lot. Right over here, detecting an area where I could have maybe done a little bit better. So, preliminary results for the Usta look good. Looks like that could be a really good blade for me. Often if it's really touchy and so sharp that it does this, then in a couple of shaves it will have smoothed out, and that edginess will smooth out a little bit to where then you've got the comfort and the sharpness all together, where right now you've mainly got that edgy sharpness where you have to be a little careful. However, this razor has a great grip on the blade, and so it didn't feel like I should be careful. It didn't feel like I should be wary. It just did really well. So, thank you to Impressive Donut for the Usta. I'm looking forward to using that blade more. Another reason I didn't use it recently is because since I was shaving in such sparse, such infrequent time frames, I wanted to give the blade a more fair trial. But then I figured, well, at this point, I may never try it. I'm sure I'll get more regular later on, but I didn't want it to be 6 months down the road, right? So I figured let's whip it out, and I'm glad I did. It worked well. The Derby Usta, USTA, and that Mountain Laurel. Oh, that's nice. That's a good splash. Summer Break, great company. Their soaps are terrific as well as their splashes. They do have, I am certain they do have some good ingredients in here, such as witch hazel. That's the first ingredient. Then it does have alcohol, aloe vera juice, agave extract, algae extract, wheat protein, allantoin. So, and there's a few others that I don't recognize. But, all right. To whip together that lather took about 17 milliliters of water, and you saw how I loaded it. It was quite a while of loading. If I do keep this soap around, I'm sure I will. There's no reason. I'm not going to sell it, right? It doesn't take up a lot of space there. What I can do is take off some shavings and then press the shavings around so that then the soap wouldn't move around. This is also eligible to go into the bottom of a mug. You could do that too. I think it's too small for like the Old Spice mugs. I think it would need to be one of those more narrow mugs. So, I'm kind of pleasantly surprised with the Dollar Tree hard soap. Very pleasantly surprised with the Be Pure. If you like hard soaps, it didn't seem like it was giving up a lot of itself, and so I'm going to guess you're going to get your money's worth easily out of this guy. So feel free to go try it. So I give it a thumbs up, a probational, a conditional thumbs up, provided that the ingredients are good to use. I'll have to pass that by some other people. But in terms of the feel of it, felt great with this brush. It had a nice slickness and a creaminess to it. I mean, it's not going to be top tier, but honestly, for the value, it might be better bang for your buck, because it may have been at a tenth of the price, but it definitely wasn't at a tenth of the performance. It was maybe 80% of the performance of some of the other soaps that we all have been using for a while. So that's that might be a bang for the buck champion there. And it doesn't have the finickiness of Williams. Williams used to be about the same price point while it was being produced, and it is now gone. And so this guy steps in, and he doesn't have that same problem with load. It was an easy load. It just took a while to work together. And then I'm sure if you were to use it consecutively, that would get even better over time. And of course, it was in a weird situation. You saw some of the stuff drool out of my fingers there, and so that wasn't a great example, of course, for daily use. And we've got it all packaged up. I still have, after doing 2 passes, I could do another pass if I needed to. I'm very interested in how that soap plays out. I love a good value. I love a good hard soap. Well, I think that's today. Face does feel like I haven't shaved in a while. Here we go. We're still going there. This guy's pretty much stopped. All right, I'm a happy camper. It's been great being with you guys again. There will be more shaves in the future for sure. The last video that I did kind of with an announcement was just to explain the slowdown and the infrequency, because God bless you guys, because several of you guys had checked in on me because of the slowdown and just making sure everything was okay, and I really appreciate that. But now we will definitely keep making videos. It just may not be daily like I have been doing. And whether or not the future holds a jump back into more daily videos, we'll just play it by ear. We'll just take life as it goes, right? And I figured at some point, I mean, I wouldn't be shaving and making daily videos while I was 70 or 80, right? At some point, you'd be slowing down. Plus, I always wondered, once I had gone through all my gear, once I felt like I was kind of doing reruns, shaves that were ones that I'd already done before, then I was wondering, well, should I then stop? But I've got so much gear, and then all you do is change a blade, all you do is change a razor, change the setting on the razor, change a brush, and you've kind of got a whole new shave. And so in a sense, I could just keep changing things up and have different shaves all the time. And another reason for doing that is to establish my database. And the more shaves that I can get in my database, the more I hope to eventually provide some kind of data. And I think it may have been North Sound Hamster was talking to me about potentially getting together a web page, because I've been recording different metrics about my shaves. And I could put out a page where you could choose a soap base, and it'll tell you what I had done with that soap base on the average. The reason I haven't published that yet is because that's kind of subjective information, and I don't want people to think that I'm saying this is what should be available or that sort of thing. And a lot of people use more soap than I do, so that's, of course, is going to throw things off. If you're a face latherer, that may throw things off. And so in a sense, I don't know if it's really valuable information. But I might publish it at some point anyway. And what it could do is, if you were curious about sterling soaps, maybe you had bought some, enjoying the scent here around me of this mountain laurel. Man, I like that. Whether I've got a lot of sterling usage in my history, in my database, and so whether I loaded with a brush with a certain time duration of loading, or whether I scooped and had a certain volume of soap that I used, I'd be able to maybe aggregate that into some kind of ballpark. Now, of course, if you're timing 30 seconds of loading, that sort of thing, that depends on your brush. Depends on the stiffness of your bristles, the number of bristles. Is it a 28 millimeter brush with a lot of backbone? Is it a 22 millimeter brush with really soft backbone? See, those things severely affect the time, the amount of soap that's loaded up into your brush when you're loading. And so whether you do 30 seconds with that kind of brush, you really kind of can't compare that to 30 seconds of loading with a very different brush. So maybe the values that are only relevant are ones where I did scooping and I measured the volume. I got to ponder on that kind of thing. Whew, I keep getting whiffs of this mountain laurel scent, and I'm glad I have some work to do because I'm going to be able to enjoy that quite a bit through the evening. So the Usta, thumbs up, did very well. I'm going to take a look at the blade. Haha, it is all messy. Got a little bit of buildup there from that first pass. Kind of rinse that off. I'm glad that the blade has printing on it. Kai's don't have printing, and we don't need another blade floating around that's hard to identify, do we? Alright, so titanium handle from Timeless. And this is the same design, the same look as the bronze handle. And so then we have the bronze base plate, open comb. Does it tell me the gap here? 78. So the open comb bronze is a 78 gap. So I guess that means it's a 38 and a 78. And so if you want the open comb, you're going to have to accept the higher gap. That's just the way they configured it. B13, tremendous. Is that the one guy that I think he's going to come out? Nope, he came out. All right. Wonderful, big, one of my favorite declaration batches. I think I can conclusively say, at least in this size, at this loft, at 28 millimeters, at this loft, is my favorite declaration batch. B4 is next, and if I had a B13 that was a little more firm, maybe lofted a little less, then I'd probably like the B4 a little bit better. But right here, the B13 takes the cake for me. Impressive Donut, thank you for the Usta. North Sound Hamster, thank you so much for the Eigengrau from Barrister and Mann. I like it, and if I see it on the used market at a good price, I don't think I'll hesitate to pull the trigger. Matter of fact, if they make that an omnibus, that might be a good idea. I can't remember if that was before omnibus that one came out. I have to check that out. I don't have a full tub of omnibus yet because I have a lot of a Barrister and Mann that I haven't used yet, and I love Glissant a lot. So that blade and that soap were wonderful and generous donations, and the Dollar Tree was the third the third new thing we tried this evening, and it came through with shining colors. I think we're good. No revelations or anything today. The Lather games are going on as we speak. I've been mentioned a few times by folks like Greg and Jeep guy, and then he has a number after it, I believe. And we've interacted a lot online, and he had some very kind things to say as well. Thank you guys so much for your shout outs. And I'm trying to line up a good day where I can at least join in on one of the Lather Games days. You don't have to do all the days in June to compete. You can just do a few. Sorry. Glad the tickle in my throat is coming at the end of the shave. We will just let that be it. Thank you so much for watching. See you again in another shave. And God bless you. Thank you so much again for your well wishes and your encouragement. It really means a lot, and I will get to selfishly read those all over again. Everybody likes reading good news, right? And I'll respond as well to you, generous, awesome, and kind folks. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and discovered 3 new cool things today in this shave. Really enjoying the Mountain Laurel as a aftershave product. Face feels great, no irritation or anything like that. The weepers are pretty much stopped. It was a good shave. Take care now. Good night.